Earth 29, known to its inhabitants as Hitre, exists in the Bizarroverse. Its damaged laws of physics gave rise to Bizarros such as the Unjustice League of America or the Bizarro League and their pointless adventures. Planet Hitre is their Earth, a cube-shaped world operating on reverse logic. This planet seems to orbit a blue star as well as having a cheese-made satellite which is also in cube shape. Earth 29 is one of the worlds of the multiverse that were born after the Flashpoint. But even before that, the Bizarroverse has always been a brilliant satire of superhero tropes, turning every heroic ideal into a twisted, bizarre, or mixed-up oddity. The Bizarros are grotesque imitations of humanity that live crazy lives. Welcome to DCNES, and today let's visit the history of the Bizarroverse. The Bizarroverse actually started with Superboy. We first saw a Bizarro in 1958 on Superboy Volume 1 number 68 by Otto Binder and George Papp. Professor Dalton created a duplicator ray to duplicate pure radium for medical purposes. However, the ray only created imperfect duplicates. As the professor stumbles in disappointment, he accidentally struck Superboy with the duplicator ray. This created the first Bizarro, which is an imperfect duplicate of Superboy. It would seem that the personality of Bizarro was inspired by Frankenstein. Extremely rugged, rocky features but with a kind heart. An adult version then appeared in the Superman Daily newspaper comic strip written by Alvin Schwartz from August to December of 1958. The newspaper version wore a B on his chest as opposed to Superman's distinctive S. Then Bizarro was reintroduced in 1959 before having his own Bizarro world in 1960 and then eventually being redefined to have its own universe in 1996 as Earth 0 and then becoming Earth 29 in 2015 during the Multiversity stories. Bizarros possess a unique physiology, one that is common to all Bizarros but greatly differentiated from baseline human biology. Their skin is mottled and gray, giving the appearance of crumbled chalk or ash. Although physically strong characters, Bizarros are developmentally and mentally handicapped and cannot process thought or action that would be common to normal standards of human reason. Their behavior is structured in opposition to logic or common sense and affects them not only culturally but linguistically as well. Nearly everything spoken by a Bizarro is an antonym to their true intent. If a Bizarro says "I hate you," he is actually expressing a term of endearment, and goodbye is actually hello. A Bizarro may demonstrate affection by giving his loved one a bouquet of dead roses or by punching them in the face. Bizarros are immune to green kryptonite, but they are weak against blue kryptonite. There are four main versions of Bizarroverse. First is the pre-crisis or Silver Age Earth 1 version that appeared in the 1960s. Second is the post-crisis New Earth version where we saw the Bizarro JLA in 2007. Third is the New 52 version assigned as Earth 29, which is then somewhat connected to the Rebirth version. And fourth is the Superfriends version placed on Earth 508 but was first seen in Season 5 of Superfriends in 1981. There is also a Scribblenauts version from the 2013 puzzle sandbox video game called Scribblenauts Unmasked, a DC Comics adventure, and Lego version from the animated film Lego DC Comics Superheroes Justice League vs. Bizarro League, released in 2015. There is also an All-Star Superman version in 2015 and in the DC Animated Universe in the 1990s. We also saw a Bizarro League from Justice League Action in 2018 and an Arrowverse version in the TV series of Superman and Lois in 2022. There is also the Bizarro Titans featured in Teen Titans Go in 2015.
Me am Batzarro.
The pre-crisis version is a continuation of Superboy's Bizarro. Luthor copied the duplicator ray and formed a grotesque imitation of Superman called Bizarro and a similar imperfect double of Lois Lane. Pre-crisis Bizarros are synthetic beings, non-living imperfect duplicates. In time, Bizarro caused destructions that led to conflicts with Superman. These two bizarre creatures were then feared and hunted on Earth as monsters, so they fled into space. From there, they found an empty planet with ancient ruins. They decided to live there, and since Bizarro still has a certain level of super intelligence, he created an imitator machine to create copies of themselves. The resulting world has cities like Metropolis but has confusing clocks, buildings with mad designs, inverted US flags, restaurants that accept coal as payment, cinemas showing the negative look of the film, crooked houses, and the news company is called Daily Hitre. Their society is ruled by the Bizarro Code, which states, us do opposite of all earthly things. Us hate beauty. Us love ugliness. It's big crime to make anything perfect on Bizarro World. They abhor perfection and stupidity is celebrated. Originally a circular planet, Hitre became cube-shaped. This is due to the intervention of Superman, who after being convicted of doing something perfect on Hitre, which is normally a capital offense, pointed out that the planet was shaped like a normal spheroid and agreed to cube it if his sentence were commuted. The original Bizarro world was not a parallel Earth but another planet that existed in the same universe as Earth 1. However, in 2006 Infinite Crisis, Bizarro world was reintroduced as Earth 0. Post-crisis Bizarro world cities seemed much darker and more crooked than pre-crisis, but they are part of the New Earth universe and they have a blue sun. Here we saw Bizarro as the new power that he can create Bizarros from his own duplicator vision. We saw a Bizarro Doomsday smashing many Bizarros, the usual staff from the Daily Planet, and more scenes of the Bizarro JLA. It did make more inverted parallels to main continuity. The 2001 Bizarro comics won the 2002 Harvey and Eisner Awards for Best Anthology. An alternate universe variant of Bizarro World appears in All-Star Superman. This version is a sentient planet that Superman believes to be a manifestation of an entity called a Planet Eater. All-Star Bizarro still has fire breath. We also saw Zibaro, an aberration of Bizarro, and a Bizarro Flash and Bizarro Green Lantern. Hitre vanishes into the Underverse, a newly discovered dimension at the story's end. In Grant Morrison's Multiversity series, marking the New 52 era, Hitre has been allocated its own alternate universe and is now also known as Earth 29. Here, the Bizarro League is called the Unjustice League of Un-America, with unheroes led by Bizarro. The League spends its time in futile and pointless adventures that accomplish nothing, having little, if any, enemies to fight against. During the Dark Metal saga, the Bizarros of Earth 29 were helping Perpetua absorb the Crisis energy from the Dark Multiverse. In the future state timeline of DC, Earth 29 was seen being destroyed by the anti-life equation. In the Superfriends TV version in 1980, Bizarro took a Bizarro ray from the Bizarro capital and went to Earth. He then transformed the Superfriends into Bizarros including Batman and Robin, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, and Wonder Woman. However, Superman still found a way to reverse it, thus defeating him.
Game no done yet, Batman. Me strongest man in world.
Forward to 1985, Bizarro is no longer evil as he is no longer influenced by the Legion of Doom. Still, he wanted to form the Bizarro Super Friends, or as he called it, the Bizarro Superpowers Team.
Say cheese!
Repairer, the duplicator ray.
He duplicated Cyborg, Firestorm, and Wonder Woman, thereby creating Bizarro versions of them. Wonder Woman then used the duplicator ray on Mr. Mxyzptlk, which then creates Mr. Kltpzyxm. Then they decided to return to Bizarro World so that they could get their proper training to become Bizarro superheroes. Forward to 2009 when Super Friends were continued in comics, Bizarro World was a separate planet placed in the universe of Earth 508, the universe of the TV show Super Friends. In this Bizarro World, dogs walk people, residents go to bed in the morning and wake up at night, they follow a Bizarro code, and the people are cookie copies of Earth people. The satellite headquarters of the Bizarro Super Friends is an old teardrop trailer floating in space. A version of Bizarro World appears in the Teen Titans Go episode Robin Backwards. It is home to the Bizarro Titans led by the lazy Nybor and feature Grobik, a robot that is mostly human, Nevar, who is always smiling in contrast to Raven, Boy Beast, an animal who can transform into any human boy, and Erifrats, who is just as ugly as Starfire is beautiful. Their headquarters is an inverted T.
You am safe from fireless building now, no thanks to Nybor.
A variation of Bizarro World appears in the second season of Superman and Lois. This version is located in a cube-shaped pocket dimension that can be accessed through the Smallville's Shuster mines and was nicknamed the Inverse World by cult leader Ali Alston. In this Bizarro world, as seen in the episode Bizarros in the Bizarro World, Bizarro is a celebrity before a falling out with his family. Jonathan Kent developed powers and took the name of Jor-El. Tal-Ro is an eligible bachelor who was on good terms with Kal-El. Lana Lang was a waitress who married Tal-Ro and gained superpowers, and Alston rose to power and took over the Department of Defense. In this inverse world, the fortress of Kal-El is located in Antarctica, which holds information about his dead planet Krypton and allowed him to communicate with the AI of his late mother. Bizarro World appears in Lego DC Comics Superheroes Justice League vs. Bizarro League. Here, Bizarro is sent to Bizarro World by Superman to keep him out of trouble. When Darkseid invades the planet, Bizarro steals a duplicating ray from Lex Luthor and fires it at Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, and Cyborg, creating the Bizarro League. Its properties were also shown to adversely affect Wonder Woman, who becomes unable to fly and is constantly tripping up, Guy's power ring limiting him to only be able to fly and make chicken energy constructs, and Cyborg, who is constantly falling apart and needs to be rebuilt. Bizarro World also appeared in Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham video game.
Show you. Bizarro, don't! World's worst. Blah, blah, blah. Pretty princess.
A story about Bizarro in the out-of-continuity digital-first anthology comic book Adventures of Superman from 2013 by Christos Gage and Eduardo Francisco ends with Bizarro given the tools to terraform on an inhabited planet to his own tastes. There, he encounters an Amazon with chalky skin who introduces herself as Bizarra. In this story, Bizarro is able to talk in straight comprehensible language thanks to Superman and Professor Hamilton. Now, let's meet the residents of Bizarroverse. Few villains in the DC universe are Superman's equal in power, but there is one who can always go toe-to-toe with the Man of Steel, his twisted doppelganger Bizarro. The tragic result of a bizarre science experiment, Bizarro is an imperfect duplicate of Superman with none of his intelligence or self-control. Looking like a pasty white zombie-like version of the last son of Krypton, he invariably strikes fear into those he encounters. Often a creature more to be pitied than feared, Bizarro is as dangerous as it gets, whether he means to be lethal or not. Imbued with incredible powers like Superman, but getting it from the rays from a different kind of sun, he fights for lies, injustice, and a war's yesterday. And he is best friends with Lex Luthor. Let's see the different versions of Bizarro. The Silver Age Bizarro started when criminal mastermind Lex Luthor acquired the designs for a duplicator ray. Luthor intended on using it to create a super strong clone of his nemesis, Superman, to have a mindless slave who would obey Luthor's every command. However, the duplication process resulted in the creation of an imperfect duplicate of Superman. This artificial being came to be known as Bizarro and ultimately unfit for Luthor's purposes because of its limited intelligence and unpredictable nature. Bizarro then kidnapped Lois Lane and absconded with her to an island to alleviate his own loneliness. Lois then helped Bizarro to create a suitable partner, Bizarro Lois Lane. Bizarro accepted Bizarro Lois and they both left Earth to settle on another world out in the reaches of space. Bizarro and Bizarro Lois found a new world to call their own and populated it with duplicates of themselves. In order to distinguish themselves from their ironically perfect duplicates, Bizarro and Bizarro Lois elected to wear necklaces bearing stone engravings announcing them as Bizarro number 1 and Bizarro Lois number 1. As the ruler of the planet, even as he masqueraded as reporter Bizarro Clark Kent, Bizarro acted as the lawgiver of his people, promulgating the only rules that Bizarros were to live by in the Bizarro Code. Sometime later, Bizarro created a Bizarro Batman based on the image of the Earth hero Batman to team up with, just as the real Batman and Superman did regularly on Earth. Together, the team of Bizarro and Bizarro Batman made it their mission to make Earth match the standards of imperfection on the Bizarro world, creating chaos with the Joker along the way. Pre-Crisis Bizarro has a fortress of solitude called Fortress of Bizarro that he made from the desert. In the story of Superman Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which served as an ending to Silver Age Superman continuity, Bizarro #1 was influenced to bad ends by the now evil Mr. Mxyzptlk, realizing that to truly fulfill the Bizarro Code, he should stop being an perfect duplicate of Superman and be a perfect imperfect duplicate of Superman. Thus, Bizarro resolves to alter his methods accordingly. To that end, Bizarro #1 deliberately destroys Bizarro World, reasoning that if Superman's homeworld Krypton was destroyed in an accident, Bizarro must destroy his own world on purpose. After Bizarro goes on a murder spree to continue his goal of being Superman's opposite, he kills himself using blue kryptonite, reasoning that where Superman is alive, Bizarro must be dead. New Earth or Post-Crisis Bizarro became known as Bizarro Superman. Despite being the third duplicate of Superman to take the name, Bizarro Superman will declare himself Bizarro #1. Here, the Joker managed to acquire for himself the fifth dimensional powers of Mr. Mxyzptlk. With this power, he declared himself Emperor and created his own insane version of Superman. Bizarro was intended to imitate the role of Superman, but with the Joker's best interests at heart. Post-Crisis Bizarro still has flame breath. However, he did get a magnificent new power. Because of the blue sun, his Bizarro vision becomes a duplicator ray. He is creating more Bizarros from beings he hits with his vision. He created Bizarros Aquaman, Robin, and Green Arrow from lasering Batzarro. Nevertheless, this Bizarro is weak against blue kryptonite, which allowed Luthor to manipulate him. In the DC animated universe, Bizarro was the prototype of an army of Supermen manufactured by Lex Luthor. At first, the clone looked and acted like Superman, but wasn't aware of his alter ego Clark Kent, seeing as he rescued the real Clark from falling off a cliff. However, the cloning process was unstable and the clone mutated in form and mind into a grotesque travesty of the Man of Steel, dubbed Bizarro by Mercy Graves. Bizarro set about imitating Superman's heroic actions with disastrous results. He prevented the bridge from opening in order to allow a boat to pass through, thereby nearly causing the boat to crash into the bridge, only stopped by the timely intervention of Superman, and he hurled a wrecking ball towards a park, believing he was saving a building. After meeting up with Lois Lane, he took her to the laboratory where he was born and discovered to his dismay that there were several Superman clones in production.
Oh, how could he? I'm Superman. Me!
After Luthor tried a failed attempt to kill him, Bizarro went on a rampage, destroying the lab and preventing the activated self-destruct sequence from being shut off. When Bizarro saw Superman saving Lois, he realized that he was the actual duplicant and accepted the fact that me no am Superman. In the end, he actually performed a very Superman-like deed by sacrificing himself so that Superman and Lois could escape the exploding laboratory. Bizarro survived the explosion. Superman then took Bizarro to another planet capable of supporting life, but also uninhabited by any sentient life. Superman had brought along Bizarro's crypto as well. At a later point, Bizarro became a member of Grodd's Legion of Doom. In the New 52 version, Bizarro's world was placed in Earth 29, and Bizarro is imbued with incredible powers like Superman, but getting it from the rays of the red sun. Bizarro is the protector of Bizopolis and the leader of the Unjustice League of Un-America. He is also the husband of Lois and the father of Boyzarro. When the Unjustice League was saving Bizopolis from Metallo, a strange visitor arrived to their world and Bizarro engaged him on a fight. Their fight was interrupted by Metallo, who just captured the entire league before Bizarro freed them to break havoc on the city, returning it to its original disheveled state. In that moment, another visitor arrived and was immediately confronted by Superman, who made Bizarro understand that he was dangerous. Bizarro destroyed it, becoming infected by it and becoming Doomzarro. He flew back to Bizarro World and infected the planet, making everything cute and fluffy, an anathema to the Bizarros. However, Bizarro's will and sense of decency were strong enough to resist Doomsday, and he flew to the sun to destroy the virus within himself, saving his world. He survived and came back to his adopted world and afterwards for Lois Lane's hate. Bizarro was among the many Supermen of the multiverse who were kidnapped by the prophecy to steal their powers, but they were freed by the Justice Incarnate. Bizarro then had his own titled series in 2015. In 2024, after the events of the Dark Crisis, Bizarro's world, Earth-29, was moved from its original place and possibly destroyed. This angered Bizarro, who went to planet Xerox, aka Sorcerer's World, to find wisdom and a solution. He was immediately attacked by the wizards. However, to their amazement and horror, Bizarro was not affected by their magic, and so Bizarro used it against them, killing them. Some weeks later, Bizarro has gathered different arcane artifacts across the cosmos to conjure something on Earth Zero. He has also shown increased strength that even Superman was surprised as he was attacked by Bizarro while flinging him directly to Venus, then across the solar system. Since Superman is weak against magic, Bizarro has become a super magician. Bizarro was seemingly killed in the battle only for Superman to realize moments later that Bizarro had finished the spell and was trying to possess him, and the other citizens of Earth Zero became Bizarros. Bizarro successfully conquered Superman's mind and body, although Superman did not stop fighting him in his head. Meanwhile, on Prime Earth, Lex Luthor attempted to splice Superman's DNA with human DNA and decides to inject it into a teenage test subject named Bobby in order to create his personal army of Supermen. Instead, Bobby is transformed into a hulking white-skinned monster with cryonic vision, incendiary breath, and immunity to kryptonite. He was named B-Zero. The second Bizarro for Prime Earth was created during the Rebirth era in 2022. This was named Bizarro 2 and he became a member of Red Hood's Outlaws. In Arrowverse, Bizarro made an appearance in Superman and Lois TV series in 2022. Here, Bizarro is an alternate version of Kal-El from the Inverse world who has a psychic connection with Superman, his counterpart that hails from a universe that's parallel to his own. He became imprisoned in the Shuster mines after running away from his world to defeat Ali Alston. He was later forcibly mutated into a monstrous creature by Lex Luthor following his death and resurrection. He is the former second archenemy of Superman. We also saw Bizarro Superman in Superfriends in 1978, then again in 1985.
Awesome Bizarro.
Tita and me take care of second phase plan.
We also saw a Bizarro version in Lois and Clark TV series in 1994.
You have outlived your usefulness.
Robot Chicken TV series in 2005, in Smallville in 2007, in DC Nation in 2013, in JLA Adventures Trapped in Time animated film in 2014, in a Lego movie in 2015, DC Super Friends web series in 2015, then in Justice League action series in 2017.
Me am Batzarro.
Bizarra or Bizarro Wonder Woman is a distorted version of Wonder Woman based on the villain Bizarro. She is a very simple-minded being, has reversed character traits, believes women are inferior to men, and speaks in reverse of what her true meaning is. Silver Age Bizarro Wonder Woman is first shown as a member of the Bizarro Justice League, a team of social misfit heroes that inhabit Bizarro world. Their home base is an abandoned submarine at the bottom of the sea. The team consists of Bizarro, Bizarro Wonder Woman, Bizarro Yellow Lantern, Bizarro Aquaman, Bizarro Flash, and Bizarro Hawkman. Bizarro Wonder Woman in the post-crisis era has a lasso that can make you tell lies, called Lasso of Lies, and she is in love with Bizarro Superman. In the New 52 era, like Wonder Woman, Bizarra of Earth-29 has bracelets, a tiara, the twine of truth, and her mode of transportation is the visible plane. If Wonder Woman says a great Hera, Bizarra's common expression is by Hera. Sometime in the past of Earth-29, Bizarra was seen as a statue. She likes Superman too. During the first visit of Boyzarro to Earth Zero and also the first visit of Superboy to Earth-29, Bizarra, Batzarro, and the Injustice League were captured by the Legion of Fun. They were freed by Superboy, Robzarro, and Boyzarro. During the death metal multiverse saga in the beginning of the attacks of Perpetua, Bizarra and the Unjustice League were summoned in the House of Heroes to help the multiversal heroes in defeating Perpetua. However, sometime after, Bizarra, together with Bizarro, turned up to be serving Perpetua in tearing down the Orrery of Worlds. Later, she and the Unjustice League of America fought Xanta in spreading joy on their world using her visible jet. Next is Bizarro Lantern. Pre-Crisis Bizarro Yellow Lantern was created by Bizarro 1 from watching Green Lantern. When his ring did not work on a Green Lantern battery, Bizarro offered to make a yellow power battery, but he declined as he wants to be a coward and powerless. He and the Bizarro GLA have their headquarters in a submarine. He has no power from his powerless ring, was vulnerable to anything called green, and was the most easily frightened being in the universe. Post-Crisis Lantern is a yellow lantern still, and he uses his own face as a light construct to scare people. He is a member of the Sinestro Corps, whose home base is in Quard. In the New 52 era, Jordan, aka Bizarro Green Lantern, who later became Yellow Lantern, is a member of the Unjustice League on Earth 29. Possibly like Sinestro, Jordan was first a Green Lantern, then somehow became a Yellow Lantern. Nevertheless, he is a powerful member of the League. Later, he helped Batzarro in fighting Doomzarro. He was also part of the Green Lanterns of the Multiverse. And he has his own creative ways to fly. Next is Batzarro or Bizarro Batman. Silver Age Bizarro Batman was created by Bizarro number 1 as a duplicate of the Earth hero Batman in order to team up like Batman and Superman. They traveled to Earth where they tried to shape the world after their own Bizarro world, creating chaos and even teaming up with the Joker. However, when they learned that Batman and Superman were creating order and perfection in their own Bizarro world, the odd creatures returned and banned the Vandals from their world, promising to remain there in order to prevent them from fixing their imperfect world. Bizarro Batman sported a useless belt full of cigarette butts, broken nails, chewed gum, banana peels, and other such priceless Bizarro treasures. Post-Crisis Batzarro seems to smile a lot and even has a yellow smiley emoji on his chest. Batzarro is a member of the Unjustice League of America in the New 52 version. Bizarro Batman was captured by Metallo when a visitor arrived to their planet and clashed against Bizarro before finally being set free by the latter and break havoc on Bizopolis. When Bizarro was infected by an alien monster, Bizarro Batman led the charge against the cuteness that was spreading on their world, and when Bizarro destroyed the infection and saved the world, the entire League rejoiced in victory. Batzarro later joined the vilest villains versions of Superman and Batman of the Multiverse to fight Superman and Batman. Batzarro has a natural lower intellect. Though this could be a weakness elsewhere in the multiverse, a natural lower intelligence is highly revered among Bizarros. He has a utility belt like Batman, Batzarro Mobile, and Batarangs. Then there's Bizarro Flash. Pre-Crisis Bizarro Flash is a reverse Flash with yellow costume and is part of the Bizarro JLA. Post-Crisis Bizarro Flash works alongside his Bizarro Confederates Batman, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Wonder Woman. He sought to save Bizarro from Bizarro Doomsday by dropping their hyperbolic headquarters on top of him. Post-Crisis Bizarro Flash is also slow and overweight, and he easily gets tired. Bizarro Flash was created by Bizarro when he obtained the power of replicating himself because of the Blue Sun. However, in the New 52 version of Bizarro Flash, he was actually not overweight, but was still kind of slow. I believe Flashzarro and Wonder Woman were being turned into stone by Metallo. The Bizarro Flash from the DC Rebirth is an overweight member of the Unjustice League who is always seen to be eating or lying around on his back instead of helping his teammates, and his name is Flashzarro. He is also quite slow or too heavy to move fast. His tummy is literally hanging out from his costume. The Sramian Snitch is a Sramian unhero and a member of the Unjustice League of America. He is this Earth's version of the Martian Manhunter. He and his team were held captive by Metallo when Bizarro and Superman released them to panic on the city. When Bizarro was infected by Doomsday, the entire League charged to hog the spreading infection. New 52 Sramian seems to be the leader of the Bizarro League. Aquazarro is the Aquaman of Earth 29. Pre-Crisis version of Bizarro Aquaman was created by Bizarro number 1 and Bizarro Batman to join the Bizarro Justice League, but was exiled from Hitre for looking too human, and Bizarro Aquaman could not swim. In New 52, Aquazarro is more of a war freak than the usual Aquaman and has comparable physical prowess. He helped Batzarro in fighting Doomzarro. In the Super Friends version, Earth 508 Bizarro Aquaman was a superhero and a member of the Bizarro Super Friends. But their reverse morals caused them to end up making situations worse instead. One day, the team decided to team up with the Super Friends. In true Bizarro fashion, they just made things more difficult for the Super Friends. The Super Friends were able to trick the Bizarros to be helpful, and in response, the citizens they saved appreciate them, causing the Bizarro Super Friends to return to their homeworld. Bizarro Aquaman here wears a snorkeling mask and tube and a yellow lifebuoy with the head of a seahorse. He stays on land and shouts on fishes. We also saw the Scribblenauts version of Bizarro Aquaman. Bizarro Hawkman first appeared in the Silver Age as a member of the Bizarro Justice League. However, they were all blown up, including all the residents of Bizarro World, as they were being absorbed by a powerful alien. In the post-crisis period, both Bizarro Hawkman and Bizarro Hawkgirl were members of the Bizarro League, and they need to destroy the god ship to fight an alien invasion. However, they were easily pulverized by the god ship. On a different story though, the Bizarro League was revived and composed of Bizarro versions of Shazam, Animal Man, Atom, Batman, Flash, Zatanna, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, Martian Manhunter, and Dr. Fate. In the New 52 Earth 29 era, Bizarro Hawkgirl tried to capture the pet cat of Boyzarro, so Boyzarro froze her and her giant hawk with his eyes vision. We also saw a Scribblenauts version of Bizarro Hawkgirl in 2013. Next is Bizarro Girl or Bizarro Supergirl. Bizarro Supergirl is an imperfect clone of Supergirl and a resident of the cube-shaped world of Hitrei. Silver Age Bizarro Supergirl was created by Bizarro Jr. when Supergirl was working on a chemical project that exploded and changed normal human Bizarro Jr. into a Bizarro form. He flew through the Fortress of Solitude and tinkered with the duplicator ray and hit Supergirl with it, creating a Bizarro Supergirl. Bizarro Supergirl then took Bizarro Jr. away and did not return him. In the Fortress of Bizarro, Bizarro saw his son. After he came to Earth, Bizarro declared war on Earth and went home to get his army, during which time Superman invented blue kryptonite. Superman defeated Bizarro Jr. and Bizarro left the Earth as Superman and Supergirl went home. During their trip home, they found Bizarro Supergirl dead from blue kryptonite exposure. Bizarro, Bizarro Jr., and Bizarro Lois Lane are her relatives. In the post-crisis version, Bizarro Girl was created by Bizarro Number 1 to help him defeat Godship, a specimen of a race of planet eaters called Ashka-Phageus. However, Bizarro loved his cousin and decided against risking her life. Instead, he planned to dump her in a rocket and take her to Earth with him. Bizarro Girl crashed in Metropolis. Being mad, disoriented, and as backwards as any Bizarro, Bizarro Girl lashed out, wreaking havoc and destruction on Metropolis. She also kidnapped several heroes and civilians in order to throw a party. Despite undergoing a severe crisis of self-esteem, Supergirl battled her Bizarro counterpart and managed to win with assistance of Dr. Light. Nonetheless, Dr. Light wanted to lock Bizarro Girl up and research her. Supergirl then decided to take Bizarro Girl back to her own planet so she was judged by her people instead of having her suffer on Earth. Both girls returned to Hitrei to find most of Bizarro's hated Bizarro Girl, believing she abandoned them in their hour of need, and Godship Spawn was eating the planet whole. Bizarro Girl reunited with her cousin and Supergirl came up with a plan to stop the World Eater. Supergirl used Bizarro's blue sunlight projector on herself to create an army of Kryptonian Bizarros called Cryptozarros, and the trio and their army attacked the godship and its insect-like spawn. However, the enemy was too powerful. Bizarro Girl got extremely scared and fled. Kara found Bizarro Girl in Hitrei's version of the Fortress of Solitude, having the same kind of fear and self-doubt she herself initially had when she became a superhero. Supergirl reached Bizarro Girl out, promising to be scared so that her Bizarro self can be brave. The duo flew back to the battlefield and won thanks to Bizarro Girl's new petrifying vision after a long battle. In Arrowverse, we saw a version of Bizarro Supergirl created by Maxwell Lord. Now, let's talk about Boyzarro or Bizarro Superboy. Silver Age Bizarro Superboy is actually the first ever Bizarro. The unfortunate creature was accidentally created when Professor Dalton tripped and caused the imperfect duplicator's ray to hit Superboy. Bizarro Superboy has superhuman strength like Superboy, but also maintained humanistic sensitivity as he was saddened that everyone hated him. After unknowingly causing mayhem in Smallville, Bizarro Superboy was eventually destroyed by Superboy. Years later, the blueprints for Dalton's duplicator ray are obtained by Lex Luthor, who builds his own version and creates the more familiar Bizarro number 1. In New 52, Boyzarro is the son of Bizarro Superman and his wife Lois. Unlike his Earth Zero counterpart, Superboy Jonathan Kent, Boyzarro's relationship with his parents is very dysfunctional. Boyzarro was born in Bizarranch under the strict Bizarro code, where wrong is right. Boyzarro grew up believing inversion is order, yet harbored an innate longing for genuine connection. He battles isolation even among other Bizarros, yearning for acceptance beyond backward judgments. Despite that, he genuinely wants more quality time with his father. Boyzarro's defining story begins when Superboy meets Earth-29's superpowered child. Their mirrored natures trigger a series of transformations, both physical and emotional, that challenge Boyzarro's programmed inversions and Superboy's inherited legacy of hope. Boyzarro's encounters with Superboy expose cracks in his reverse logic worldview, hinting at empathy and self-determination. Boyzarro has super strength that rivals Superman in raw power, super speed but are erratic bursts befitting his Bizarro physiology, invulnerability, flight but oftentimes look awkward, Arctic vision like that of Bizarro, flame breath which is fire breath that is inverse to Superman's ice breath, and self-sustenance. However, his intellect is inherently limited by Bizarro physiology, resulting in reversed speech patterns and thought processes. Boyzarro resembles a younger Superman but with chalky white skin, jet black hair, and gray-blue eyes. He wears a tattered blue shirt bearing a jagged inverted S, shield, and red shorts, an unsettling mirror of Superboy's iconic look. Boyzarro and Superboy built a treehouse of solitude complete with supercomputer, super robot, a phantom zone crystal, and an interdimensional portal. Boyzarro was originally named Bizarro Boy, but creator Patrick Gleason changed his name due to fan suggestions on social media. This allowed for the Super Sons counterpart to later be named Bizarro Boys. We also saw a Superboy Bizarro in 1989 from the Superboy TV series.
I'm Superboy.
Why you dressed like me, Superboy?
Of course, we also have to mention the other member of the Bizarro Boys, and that is Bizarro Robin or Robzarro. New Earth version of Bizarro Robin was created when Bizarro number 1's duplicating ray hit Bizarro Batman and sprouted several new heroes, including Bizarro Aquaman and Bizarro Green Arrow. His first words were goodbye. He was then immediately smashed and destroyed by Bizarro Doomsday. Meanwhile, Earth-29 in New 52 introduced a plethora of Bizarrified DC characters. One of the best introductions came from the Bizarro version of Damian Wayne Robin, and that is Robzarro. Many Bizarro characters have a trademark to their look, and with Robzarro, it's a mustache. Robzarro was the opposite of Damian Wayne in many ways. He is very affectionate, loving, and over-the-top, like Shakespeare in the part kind of flamboyant. He is written to be a blend of Clark Gable from Gone with the Wind and Gomez Addams. However, like Damian, he is also a skillful fighter. He also has a huge cat pet called Tiny. On one of their adventures, the Bizarro Boys saved the Bizarro League against the Legion of Fun. We also saw Robin Bizarro in the Superfriends TV show in 1980.
Me got you now, Hawkman!
And then we saw a Robin Bizarro named Nybor in Teen Titans Go in 2015.
Except slightly more handsome. Yeah.
Bizarro Shazam or Bizarro Captain was conjured by Felix Faust to be a distraction for Shazam. He has superhuman strength, speed, durability, and flight. At first, the Bizarro Captain appeared to be stronger than Billy. However, when Billy realized that his Bizarro counterpart must have a different origin to him, as the words Shazam and Mazaz did nothing to turn him into a possible Bizarro Billy Batson, he instead used reverse psychology. He reminded the Bizarro counterpart that since he was the opposite of Shazam, he would have the opposite of each of Shazam's powers. Slowly, one by one, he turned his Bizarro counterpart into a powerless coward, causing Bizarro Captain to confess to Felix's trickery. Like all Bizarros, Bizarro Captain has lower intelligence than others. This lower intellect allowed him to be tricked by Shazam into thinking he did not have the abilities Shazam, thus leading to his defeat. The Legion of Stupor Bizarros was created by Bizarro Superboy in the 30th century when he was rejected for membership in the Legion of Superheroes. Much like its counterpart, the Bizarro Legion had its own clubhouse in Hitre and its own spaceship. The oath is to use their powers for nasty purposes, big rewards, and to chicken out when there is trouble. Beings created for the Bizarro Legionnaires included Bizarro versions of Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, Cosmic Boy, Chameleon Boy, Invisible Kid, Ultra Boy, Mon-El, and Brainiac 5. All the Bizarro Legion members had the same powers as their Legion of Superhero counterparts, however, they were imperfect. For example, while Bizarro Brainiac 5 could build complex machines, they did not work properly and thinking made his head hurt. Bizarro Chameleon Boy can transform into a crying hyena instead of the laughing kind. And Bizarro Invisible Kid could turn his body invisible, but not the clothes that he was wearing. Using Bizarro logic, the Bizarro Legionnaires went into outer space and completed missions, which under the Bizarro way of thinking was good, but actually caused nothing but grief, chaos, and terror for everyone that they encountered. Now, let's look at another powerful team in Earth-29, the Terribles. On the backwards world of Hitre Earth-29, Bizarro reigns supreme, but thanks to T-Glob's inventions of Bizarro's supposed antagonist Mr. Terrible, life in Bizarropolis has become far too easy. People talk more to their T-Globs instead of each other, including Bizarro Lois. Mr. Terrible is a tech genius who owns a tech company called Terrible Tech and invented the T-Globs similar to the T-Spheres of Mr. Terrific. The T-Globs are like AI-powered minibots that assist everyone in their tasks or even performs local police work. It can even make ice cream from thin air. Answering Lex Luthor's holographic summons, Bizarro receives a time machine to turn back the clock on creation and prevent the rise of the T-Globs. Each trip to the past finds Bizarro punching out Mr. Terrible at different points in history, which turned Mr. Terrible's head into a weird shape, only to return and discover a newly warped reality. Doc Magnatz's robots helpers, Metazarros, this Earth's version of the Metal Men, instead of T-Globs, misplace inventions and other absurd upgrades. Frustrated by infinite rewrites that never halt technological progress, Bizarro finally concedes that he can't face this cosmic threat alone, so he partnered up with Mr. Terrible. They went back in time repeatedly to defeat Dr. Magnets, and the Metazarro men even went further back to stop other inventions, but when they got back into the present time, the present Bizarropolis even became better technologically. From there, Mr. Terrible and Bizarro Superman accepted that advancements in their world is inevitable, so they decided to invade and stop technology in Earth Zero, DC's main continuity, instead. Realizing he needs allies, Bizarro taps the one team built for havoc, the Terribles. In a final splash, inverse versions of Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Phantom Girl, Plastic Man, and others emerge from the Terribles' T-ship, setting the stage for a clash of backwards heroes in the future of all creation. The members include Mr. Terrible, a warped genius mirroring Mr. Terrific's intellect; Changeo Shapo, counterpart of Metamorpho in Earth-29, loves his ugly face so much he never wants to change it until he does. Disposable Man, counterpart of Plastic Man, produces extra body parts to fling at opponents. Figment Girl, counterpart of Phantom Girl, materializes others' thoughts and fears into tangible threats. Their arrival on Earth sets the stakes for a multiversal showdown. It would seem that the Terribles of Earth-29 are more powerful than the Terrifics of Earth-Zero. Bizarro, seeking to make the world better, Bizarro style, steals Phantom Girl's Phantom Zone crystal and powers a Bizarro-built time machine. Instead of sending Bizarro through time, the machine drags Earth backward through the decades. As technology, fashion, and popular culture regress from smartphones to 90s video games and torch-belted 80s heroes, the very fabric of reality unravels. forcing the Terrifics into a race against a self-undoing world. The T-ship of the Terrifics even changed into the 90s Voltron mecha ship. Bizarro's temporal rampage hurtled Earth Zero into the brash, neon-soaked world of the 1980s. As Gateway City's skyline flickers with grid-line murals and VHS storefronts, the Terrifics find themselves donning vintage windbreakers and wielding cassette-powered communicators. Their sleek T-ship, sensing the era's aesthetic, morphs into a 5-component Voltron-style mech, each hero piloting a hoverpod equipped for flight, firepower, or reconnaissance. The juxtaposition of high-tech heroism against shoulder-pad fashion and boom boxes underscores the series' playful riff on nostalgia. Into this retro battleground strides the Disposable Man. To battle the Voltron mech of the Terrifics, Disposable Man transforms into a giant monster robot with blood converting into body parts. After defeating the Terrifics, he reveals his multiplying capabilities, then created functional Red Russian armors to trap other members of the Terrifics. Amid the chaos, Plastic Man emerges as the unexpected linchpin. Observing Disposable Man's replication trick, he started each clones and parts of the Disposable Man to mimic his cloning skills. Despite the win, the Terrifics were soon regressed towards the bell-bottom 1970s as they realized that Bizarro and the Terribles are really dangerous. Figment Girl then made them all think that they are little rascals trapped in horror films, while Changeo Shapo transforms into the actual monsters that the kiddified Terrifics are afraid of. Then Disposable Man multiplied those monsters. Meanwhile, Boyzarro joins Bizarro Superman and Mr. Terrible in finding more Phantom Crystals to drive Earth Zero further into the past. Now, let's talk about some of the villains in Bizarro World. Bizarro Kltpzyxm is the Earth's version of Mr. Mxyzptlk. Bizarro Jr. was playing with his father's duplicator ray and fired it out into outer space. The ray struck Mr. Mxyzptlk, who was flying past Hitray when he was visiting their dimension, and created a bizarre duplicate of him named Bizarro Kltpzyxm. Kltpzyxm came to Hitray and used his magical powers to create order by fixing things up, a serious crime in Hitray. Bizarro number 1 tried to bring Kltpzyxm to justice by trying to trick him into saying his name backwards, but Kltpzyxm refused to fall for the trick. He instead turned himself in willingly. Years after, New Earth version of Kltpzyxm is still in prison. We also saw Kltpzyxm in the Superfriends TV show in 1985, and he still possessed all powers of a fifth-dimensional imp.
Me and Mr. Kltpzyxm, me must go to Bizarro World and make everything beautiful, just like on Earth.
Xanta is a formidable Christmas villain in Earth 29 who hails from the intergalactic Santa Corps and brings holiday cheers. The intergalactic Santa Corps is a cadre of the multiverse's most supreme beings touched and changed by the power of the holiday spirit. Their goal is to spread joy to worlds yet to be transformed. Xanta is the greatest corpsman of the Santa Corps. Meanwhile, his helpers are like minions who give joyous gifts. However, the residents of Earth 29 themselves did not accept their gifts, and all of them destroyed their gifts. This made Xanta weak, then went back to his red Christmas ball ship and flew away from Hitray. The Cold Chill crew is another group of Christmas villains in Earth 29. The crew members are mostly created from lab accidents from different experiments. It consists of Dr. Hot, Immortal and Perpetually Sweaty, the inversed version of Mr. Freeze, and he has a heat gun. Baron Blister, a broiling villain who wants to melt the ice caps and can also transform in any greenhouse gas. Puddle wants to liquefy the world. Humid Helper, created from a swamp plant that made her become a heat vampire and can also induce blindness. And Lem Smart, aka Private Pleasant, loves the beach. Their goal is to kill Luzzor, but they were easily defeated by Bizarro Superman. Eventually, Bizarro and Baron Blister agreed to create a new polar ice cap for the planet. We also saw a Bizarro version of Amazo. Bizarro has become bored being able to defeat his fellow Bizarro League members most of the time, so he created a Bizarro version of the villain Amazo. Amazo steals the powers of the Bizarro League, including Bizarro Wonder Woman and Bizarro, and helpfully gives them to ordinary citizens of the Bizarro world. This Amazo has become even stronger than both Superman and Bizarro. After realizing the folly of his actions which are doing good deeds, Bizarro convinces Bizarro Amazo to return the powers to the proper persons. Amazo then decides to completely shut himself off, and then he was encased in a glass holding placed in the capital city. Let's not forget Bizarro Luthor or Luzzor. Silver Age Bizarro Luthor was created by Bizarro number 1 to help him escape the robot police in Bizarro world who trapped him with blue kryptonite, his weakness. However, since the normal Luthor is evil, Bizarro Luthor is a force of good. So after Bizarro Luthor deatomized the blue kryptonites, which helped Bizarro escape, in exchange, Bizarro Luthor made him do 4 good deeds. Bizarro Luthor also made a submarine that can fly called the Unsubmarine. Later, Bizarro Luthor discovered a race of alien creatures who are about to approach their planet and eat the Bizarros. So, starting with himself, he created another creature that temporarily vaporized all Bizarros in the planet and combine all of them into a single creature that would combat and repel the aliens. He succeeded and brought the Bizarros back to normal. In the post-crisis era, when Bizarro used his new power to populate the cube-shaped Bizarro world, one of the many duplicates that he created was a Bizarro version of Lex Luthor. Similar to the original Lex Luthor, Bizarro Luthor committed acts of villainy, including developing a poison in an effort to make everyone on Bizarro world bald like him. When Bizarro Luthor discovered that Bizarro Superman intended on destroying the Bizarro world, he released his secret weapon, Bizarro Doomsday. Although Bizarro Doomsday had been created by Bizarro Superman, Luthor manipulated it into working for him, thus attacking his adversary. As there were several Bizarro Supermen residing on Bizarro world, Doomsday took to destroying as many as he could find. Post-crisis Bizarro Luthor still is quite a good dresser. Then in New 52 Earth 29 era, Bizarro Luthor is called Luzzor and he is the best friend of Bizarro. However, for some reason, the Cold Chill crew wanted to kill him. Of course, we also saw a Bizarrified Joker. Pre-crisis Bizarro Joker has normal skin and always seemingly sad as he should be opposite of the normal Joker. However, this serious Joker takes a bigger role in saving Superman in the most recent Earth 29 Bizarro version. During the dawn of DC era in 2024, Earth 29 was destroyed, and to find a way to restore it, Bizarro obtained powerful magic and possessed Superman into becoming Bizarro. Thanks to Bizarro's powerful spell, the people of Metropolis have turned into Bizarros themselves. One of the people who became a Bizarro is Joker. In reverse to the crazy Joker, this version of Joker has become the most sane person on Earth. With Bizarro Joker's guidance and Kryptonian meditation techniques, Superman journeyed into his own mindscape to battle the fragment of Bizarro left inside him by the spell. Meanwhile, Bizarros swarm Arkham Asylum to stop them. While Superman is fighting Bizarro in his mind, the Joker drives them to Metropolis in an ice cream truck. The internal fight between Superman and Bizarro was a losing battle, but the Joker follows him up and clasps Superman's hand, promising him that he won't die alone. In the end, the Joker used his new capacity for empathy and kindness to seriously counsel Bizarro, telling him of his hopes and dreams and regrets until Bizarro cannot bear to hear anymore. As Superman and the Joker had planned, his display or complete sympathy and sanity managed to reach Superman inside Bizarro's head and allowed him to break free, having gained Bizarro's knowledge of magic. Other Bizarrified characters include the Beneficial Parasite, an inverted version of Parasite who gives powers to others instead of siphoning them from others. Broken Toyman, reverse version of Toyman who steals garbage. Rusty Metallo, a Metallo that puts money into the bank instead of stealing it. We also saw the Bizarrified Wonder Twins and Monkey, a Bizarro KFC Colonel. Solomon Granzaro, No Brains, a Bizarrified Brainiac. Bizarro Crypto and Bizarro Lanalang. The Formidable Legion of Fun. And Jimmy Olsen reporting about climate change. So, what do you think of Earth 29? I know Bizarro versions of DC characters have been done a lot of times, but would you still want more of this in the DCU? Personally, I think the Ultraman of the Superman movie of 2025 can be considered as a Bizarro, and I would like to see that from the Pocket Universe, he was transported to Earth 29 then created his own world. What do you think?